Alright, so the graphics, I'm gonna give a rundown. This is tailored towards low-end computers. So if you're high-end, this is not gonna apply to you. So if you have a low-end computer, toaster, or whatever, and you want to get the most frames out of this, here's what you do. Alright, starting off with settings and then graphics. You want to do Windows full screen. Generally, Windows is better. It locks in the screen and it keeps it consistent. But for me, I like to stream. So, yeah, do Windows. But if you're, obviously using OBS or whatever to stream, whatever, Windows full screen works. All right. Resolution is not gonna let you change that or monitor. It's just gonna set it to default. Sharpening, I just lowered it down to 3. You can do 2 if you want, or just 0. But it's not gonna hurt to sharpen a little bit. I leave font scale and cursor scale alone. Vertical sync, generally I turn it off. Limit cutscene FPS, keep it on. I'll limit to 30 frames per second. Lock cursor, you can turn it on or off, it's your preference. I don't really need to lock my cursor to the screen because I find myself alt tabbing quite a lot. Peripheral lighting, I turn it off. It just lights up your keyboard and mouse or whatever peripheral you have. It's not needed. Brightness and color blindness, well, you do have all these options here. I don't use it. You can adjust your brightness here if you want, if you didn't do it at the beginning of the game. Resolution percentage, keep it at 100. But if you truly have a toaster, you can get away with dropping it to 90 to 80 to 70. But it's gonna start looking blocky. So I like to keep it 100. Fidelity, FX, super resolution, that's definitely off if you're playing on the low end. Max foreground FPS, depending on your monitor's refresh rate, you want to set that. So if 144 hertz monitor, go ahead and do 144 FPS, or your 120 hertz monitor, 120 FPS. I have a 60 hertz monitor, so I'm gonna go for 60 FPS. It's the refresh rate of your screen. If I'm setting it to 120, it doesn't provide me additional benefits whatsoever. Max background FPS, go ahead and set it to 30. You can set it to below 10 if you want. It's when you have the game in the background, it's gonna cap the frames to save your computer, from using resources to render the game in the background. You may not need that. But if it bothers you, then keep it at the same frame as your max foreground. But honestly, it shouldn't. So I cap it as 30 or so. It's up to you. Reflex low latency. Again, you can have this on if you want. If you have a high-end computer, low-end computer, turn it off. Quality preset, just put it on low. They do everything for you. Now, it's not perfect. It's gonna try to enable certain things, right? And especially if you have a low-end computer, you want to squeeze out as much frames as possible. So go ahead and put it on low, but also customize it. It's gonna automatically set it into custom once you adjust it. And these are the general values that it has. Put everything as low as possible. So traffic filtering, shadow quality low, dynamic shadows, render, turn this off, may increase performance, turn it off. Soft shadows, turn it off. Anything that says turn off, may increase performance, turn them off. Shader quality, low. SSAO, it's a post-processing, ambient occlusion. Super sampling, ambient occlusion. Quality, low or off when possible. Fog, off or low. Clutter quality, off. And then for water, anti-aliasing, low. Geometric complexity, low. Terrain, low. Physics quality, low. Particles, low. Reflection, low, obviously. Screen space reflections, off. Distortion, decreasing this may improve performance, turn it off. Low effects, turn it off. Reduces the number of rendered particle system effects. Checking this may greatly improve performance. Keep low effects on. Sorry, I misworded that. This lowers whatever particles that are rendered, so you want to keep it on. Distortion, turn it off. Alright, save that. And then let's go ahead and move on to where it says gameplay. So I'll give this a second to unfreeze. Alright, cool. Alright, so let's go ahead and go to gameplay. Two things. Combat hit flash, and screen shake. Turn those off. You don't need those. And last but not least, it's not a graphical setting, it is a network setting. Crossplay, cross-network play, and cross-network communications. If you are having lag issues, stuttering issues, rubber banding, if your character is moving very weirdly or janky, if you are just, experiencing some form of like character lagging, basically what you want to do is you want to go ahead and go to the character select screen. You want to go to settings, you want to go to social, and then it'll say cross network, right? You want to turn both of them off. If you're not partying with someone who is playing from a different platform like a PS5 or an Xbox, go ahead and turn it off. Now if you are playing with them, you're gonna have to have it on. It's buggy right now. It's hopefully Blizzard can get that fixed, but right now it's causing a lot of people to either DC when they go to certain areas, or when they go from dungeons to instance, or instance to dungeon and come back to overworld. I'm sorry, it's when they go from the instance to the overworld. So whether they go from a cellar to or a dungeon back to the overworld, or they go back to town via portal or waypoint, and then as soon as those other players are loading in, what's going to happen is that you experience lag. So if you're at the character select screen right here, go to options, social, cross network play, and cross network communications. Again, if you are partying with console players like an Xbox player or a PS5 player or something, you need to have that on. You're gonna experience lag, but that's just until they get that fixed. You kind of have to deal with it. If you're not, go ahead and turn it off. What I've realized was that during Server Slam, I turned both of those off the whole time I was playing, and only disconnected once because of a network lag that I was experiencing on my end. Other than that, it was smooth as butter the whole time. During closed and open beta, I didn't even have the option to turn these off, so I massively lagged out. Every time I jumped in the party, went from overworld to the cellar or the dungeon, come back out to the overworld, or go to town via TP, and then it would boot me to character select screen, or disconnect me from the game completely, disband the party, and then I had to do it over and over, reconnect the party or reinvite or join. And then every time I go from instance to overworld, or overworld to instance, and then come back out, it would disconnect me. So this was the problem. It was cross network communications and play. Now that they give you option, you can turn it off. Alright. Now if you know why that is, feel free to comment. If you have any technical background or any knowledge about the Unreal Engine, it's been a known issue. Feel free to explain, or if you have any general tips or tricks, or you have any feedback in general, or if you want to know a little bit more, or there's something you realize, then yeah, go ahead and comment below. I don't have any script for any of my videos, so yeah, I'm bound to make some mistakes here, but yeah, that's generally the settings. So if you enjoyed that, comment below or subscribe if you want. Have a good one.